Meet Asana, a work management platform.
Just love how extremely dangerous Kid Next Door is. I completely forgot. That it's just like, yeah, what is this? Oh, you know, children flying while one of them shooting fucking billiard balls at another. I'm like, you can kill a kid just if that just misses this person's fucking aircraft entirely.
What's up, guys? My name's Connor. Thank you so much for joining today. I've got my buddy Jacob over here, fixing to bring him in. Before we get started, just wanted to give you guys a heads up. He is a heavy rock and or metal vocalist, as well as a voice actor, and a good friend of mine. Thought I'd have him on the show so he can chat about us with some animated shows we used to like growing up as kids, as well as what kind of projects he has moving forward. So I'm going to go ahead and bring him in. All right. Let's get you brought in here. And you are live.
Yo.
What's up, dude?
Oh, not much. What's up with you?
Not too much. Just big chilling today. Got a lot of work done. Got a pressure washer in, built that. Cleaned the entire garage out, and then kind of went overhaul on spring cleaning around the house today. It was a nice day out and pretty overcast, so like 60, 65 degrees all day, so it's been nice.
That sounds great as far as weather goes. I didn't even think about spring cleaning. I should probably do that. I should be a functioning adult. That sounds appropriate.
Yeah, it hits in bouts. You know, I'll just be sitting here and be like, you'll get an itch and you start and you're like, I can't. If I stop, nothing's gonna get done. So we gotta just ride the wave and keep going as long as my brain's gonna take me there.
I feel that to such a massive degree. Okay.
So we were both looking at some old episodes of Jimmy Neutron, which were quite a bit outlandish. One being called Granny Baby, where he turns his grandma into a baby and then has to cart her around and try and keep her away from people at the grocery store because she's talking to everybody.
Yeah, I forgot how utterly ridiculous that show was.
Yeah.
And being smart enough to sit here and question Jimmy's intelligence on a lot of things.
Yeah.
It's just like, all right, now I want to know how much the math is real. But I also question why you thought it was a good idea. After you magnetized your grandmother the last time, that you think de-aging her would just work out so well. I also want to know how they got her off that bus.
I do too.
Because nobody seemed to be concerned. They were just, bye, yep, magnetized the bus, it's fine, bye, grandma. Just like, okay.
I love how, like, at the end, freaking Carl gets turned into an old man.
No qualms about it either. Just everybody has had an issue with something, but he was just fine the entire episode. He's like, yeah, this is cool.
Yeah. Where'd all my hair go? Oh my god, dude. It's so outrageous. And I forgot how comic relief they made Sheen out to be in that show. This is just like constant.
Just the most hyperactive kid ever.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
I remembered he's like, oh yeah, Ultra Lord. I was like, yeah, I remember that. And I was like, oh, you were super obsessed. Why didn't I find this to be a problem as a kid? You were that obsessed over a toy.
It kind of it reminded me of I had a couple of kids in my class growing up that were like obsessed with dinosaurs, like to a level that I was like, oh, this is happening. You're like, your whole backpack's decked out in it. You bring them into class, and like, I've never seen something like that. So it translated pretty well for me growing up.
You know, I'm trying to think if I knew anybody that was that obsessive. And I don't think I actually did. I don't think I knew anybody that was that obsessive over something. And yet, I don't remember questioning his rabid fandom to any degree. I think I understood it. But I wasn't that obsessive over anything either.
No. Well, it may have been over probably like N64 games, but that was kind of understandable because it was like peak excitement for some kind of new threshold of 3D technology that you couldn't get your eyes off of it, and that's all you and your friends would talk about and have pizza parties and play GoldenEye.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Oh, gosh. I always also forgot and never realized until actually watching American Dad that the little thing that looks like a camera lens is actually just a gun barrel. I was like, wait, is that what it was? I went back and looked at the actual like trailers for it. I was like, oh, it is a gun barrel. It's not a camera at all. Why did I think this was a camera?
Camera where?
So like in the older 007 intro.
Oh,
things,
yeah.
You can walk across, turn around, and shoot, and it's just a little circle, and like you can kind of see the spiraling.
Yeah.
Just never questioned that wasn't a camera until American Dad made a joke about it, and I was like, oh,
yeah. I discovered
not.
it when I went back and played it like probably 5 years ago. I was like, oh, this is a gun.
Yeah.
I was like,
it just made more sense. I was like, that's why he turns and shoots.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. That was so innovative for its time too. That was some next level stuff, man. And then that's like where King of the Hill started. Was in GoldenEye. Like they started the entire multiplayer scene. I don't even think that. Well,
yeah,
you had multiplayer, but I don't think they had introduced King of the Hill. Like even Twisted Metal, I don't think had King of the Hill. I think they had. I think it was just like open deathmatch that she used to play.
So yeah, I'm trying to remember because I only remember just going around shooting everybody. I don't.
Yeah, me too.
I don't think there was anything else beyond that. I think it was all just battle royale, Rumble style stuff.
Yeah, that's how most of the games were. And then Call of Duty and all them just decided to expand upon it to a level to where it's ridiculous. And you hate yourself. You're like, yeah, I'm gonna go hang out with the boys today. Oh, I remember why I'm not playing this right now.
I'm terrible at it.
Yeah. Why did I install this again?
Connectivity with other people.
I'm doing just fine. I don't know if you got around to Kids Next Door.
I did. Yeah.
Okay. So like I found a lot of good messages in that. Like if you guys don't know, there's I think it's called Operation Dogfight, and it's like Kids Next Door, if you don't know, is like an old cartoon from like early mid 2000s where it just revolved around these 5 different kids that had this mega tree house, and they would go on these weird missions, but it was like all quite wholesome and within the scope with a little bit of outlandishness in some respects, but they would make these weird guns that would like do crazy things that you would love to like have happen when you're a kid. Like, and in this one, the kid was building tons of different aircraft. He just goes to his local hobby shop and buys parts to make an entire aircraft for him to fly as like a 8 or 9-year-old around in the skies and dogfighting this one kid who seems like the cool kid and is shooting him out of the sky all the time. But it's like the message of never stop trying.
Yeah. Never stop trying. And if you ever need jet fuel, ask your local hobby store. They probably have it in stock. Yeah.
Yes. And don't bring a chili dog in and smack and slap it down on the front desk of the shop.
Yeah, because that might just be what sets off the dude to go
on a rampage?
On a rampage, dropping refrigerators on hot dog stands because he hates chili dogs so much because of children that he's about to commit a heinous crime and probably kill a bunch of people at the same time.
Yeah.
It's amazing 100%. To really watch these things as an adult going like, wow, that's super dangerous.
Yeah. I'm like, how did you think of this? Like, what was the storyboard like going through that day to think, I got an idea. Let's have him drop refrigerators, but make sure that it doesn't kill the people. They back out of the way in time.
I have to assume that any of their storyboards must have been amazing. Purely by like just even with this episode, you can see just like the ridiculous kind of vehicles that they had him making as each one got shot down over and over and over again, just like from like using a school bus to like a weird giant robot thing to just a car, like a limousine parts and stuff like that. Like everything looked vaguely jet plane like.
Yeah.
But it was all these like smashed together like a bash kit kind of thing, which that might be like where they got the basis of it. But like even when they first introduced the other kid, you just see the like inner workings of this kid's whole like jet and how it's all just weirdly still connected and working. And I'd say quite believable to a point that that's how it would actually function, like especially because he's shooting, billiard balls at at Hoagie here, number 2, and it's just I'm like, 1, super dangerous. 2, I can see this working.
Yeah.
And I'm more amazed at this point going like, man, how did you guys sit in a room and come up with the ridiculousness that this is and yet make it make just enough sense to like pass some form of believability.
Right.
To where like I never questioned it as a kid. I thought it was all cool. And even now I didn't question it. I was just like, this is cool. But why does it make sense that this would function this way?
Yeah. And they and now that I watched that, I was like, I think, and I haven't watched any other episode, but I was like, from what I recall, it's a lot like that, and like the outlandish, barely passable, but believable enough that it could work, is an element throughout that entire show, to some extent.
Oh,
I remember one where Nigel, number 1, goes on a fishing trip with his dad. That's like the one I remember the most. And I think they encounter he encounters like one of their arch rivals. Just like, if I recall correct, like they come and attack while they're just sitting there fishing. And he has to like save his dad. And it's just like a whole thing. Almost kind of felt like a fishbowl episode of sorts.
Yeah.
Where they keep the character contained in one environment and have a back and forth the whole time.
I vaguely remember this because wasn't like his dad's whole position the entire time was that he just wanted to go fishing with number 1, but like even though there's like this imminent threat coming in, he's just seeing it as his son playing with his friends, and he's getting very disappointed the
Yeah,
entire time.
yeah,
Yeah,
that is it.
and like his like number one genuinely wanted to go fishing with his dad. I remember that being like the hard bit of it. He's like, no, I want to go fishing with my dad. I don't want anything to do with you people right now.
Yeah,
Which
everyone was bugging him.
yeah, it's such a weird thing because kind of like I was saying, that like there's good messages to like kind of extrapolate from these shows, which you can in like hindsight, but like it's interesting to kind of see it to go like, yeah, they are here to fight adult tyranny, but not every adult is a bad person. Like they make that distinguishable line of
Right.
like, no, there are good and there are bad, but there are values that these kids actually have, like family values. I'm fairly certain all of them actually have very strong family values and
Yeah.
want to do things with their family and stuff like that.
And I think a lot of that is why they formed like the kids next door, because they had that, and they all connected in that same level. They all had some level of ingenuity to an extent, and then that's what, when they put all of themselves together, they could make something happen that they couldn't do by themselves.
Well, that is the
Almost
that
like
is
the Voltron.
well, that's the general idea of what they did. The real reason why the kids next door exist is because of the wildest backstory you could possibly imagine.
Yeah.
Where the being a kid, it was superior to adults, and that's where you get father's whole wild backstory of him just losing his mind one day because he was tired of working at the factories that the children made the adults go work at, and he spanked his son, and that sent and spiraled everything into what we know as normal today.
Yeah.
And why the kids next door is there is because father led a very specific group of adults to become the foil to what these kids are, and yet there's still a mass amount of kids that are not that way. I think it just brings in a lot of things into question of kind of like, one, how in general, how is this what the world used to be, yet father is here now in this time, not aging at all,
No.
and nobody remembers this at all to any degree. It's cartoons are amazing that they don't
Yeah.
have to make sense.
No.
And I love it.
And you
I
can
love the
restart
old
it every
ridiculous
episode
stuff.
too.
Yeah, I did like that. I like that. I think that was always like one of the fun things about these older shows was they were all self-contained, and yet when you got parts like 1 and 2, they were special because it's like, oh, this isn't done. Ooh, there's more. And they'd always leave them at like fantastic cliffhangers, and I loved it.
Right.
Because like, oh geez, talking about this is making me remember more. Because I remember like one of the cliffhanger ones I remember watching, because I think I watched it as it came out, was like when they met their opposite selves. I think they got like pulled into like a swimming pool, and that pulled them into an alternate dimension where they were the opposite. So
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
number one wasn't like brave or anything. He was just like some shy, weak kind of kid. Number 4 wasn't a bully. He was just this wimp of a person and all that stuff. Because I remember the ending of that episode was like the anti number 1 or negative number 1. I don't remember what they called him. Had gotten like something hit in his face and he lost a tooth, and it just ended with him saying everything's fine. He smiles and he's missing a tooth. You're like, oh crap, this isn't this isn't number 1. What's going on?
Yeah.
Oh man.
I think I do. I remember bits and pieces of that.
Yeah, like if I keep thinking about it, I might be remembering things, but it's hard to know what's actually from what episode because I'm remembering like the tiniest of snippets from
Right.
random episodes at this point.
And like the
All
one I sent
completely
you
ridiculous.
with the ice cream, I can't remember. I think they go into like a factory and then they like break one of the vats, and then ice cream spills out into the entire town. and then they like shoot out of the factory and are going down the road, and then like I think a couple of cones like go past them. And they're like, "Party, ice cream party," and then they all
remember that. Yeah.
yeah. And then they all start clapping, and it becomes like a little chant. It's freaking awesome.
Gosh. That just reminds me that they had so many episodes dedicated to, what they call them. The other group of kids that were like father's kids.
Was it the delightful children from down the lane?
Down the lane, yes. Where they always had like several dedicated episodes to their birthday, specifically.
Yes.
And it was always the same. We need to steal their cake, and it's just like, I get the ridiculousness of this, of like, we're gonna eat our cake and you're gonna watch us do it, and it's like, but is that it? Is that the bad thing? Like, what's going on?
And it was like, it was so horrifying how they're extremely nonchalant, very prude and to the point kids. Like, and they talked monotone. So it was just like so disturbing and off-putting that you're like, had to hate them. Yeah. Like, I was like, what is happening? I remember watching it. I was like, are they in the same, like, are they in the same city as them, or like?
I also think I always figured they were neighbors purely by the name convention that they had.
Yeah.
Because everything seemed to be pretty pointed. It was like, yeah, they're down the lane. Yeah, they're just like over there, and it's like,
okay. Is that the rich part of? I guess that's like the rich side of the neighborhood or something.
I think it actually was. I think it actually was separated by like train tracks. like you know, the whole joke of like the wrong side of the tracks. I could be completely wrong, but I think, because I remember that just kind of being a joke in a lot of cartoons, and I think Kids Next Door kept that joke, and that the delightful children were from the, you know, the better side of the tracks.
Yeah. Or so we thought. I mean, for all we know, it could have been the kids next door were like the bad ones all along, and you know, that I've it's like the Rugrats dynamic where Stu is there's the theory where Stu is extremely depressed and he's imagining all this.
Oh, see, I didn't know about him imagining it. I knew the theory that he was depressed, because when you watch a lot of those episodes back to back, and you look at what he's doing exclusively, you're like, yeah, this is an oppressed man. Like, he was just kind of like,
oh, he always looked depressed.
Yeah, well, like there's I think he almost explicitly states it too, because like one of the I actually watched it not that long ago. It was a little compilation of his brother. I don't know why I can't remember his name, but Angelica's dad, just berating him about his job and just not having enough money because he's got so many kids and things like that.
Yeah, that's right.
And it ends with him like just at like 3 a.m. or something, like making pudding, and you know, his wife comes out going, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Making chocolate pudding." And she's like, "Why?" He's like, "Because my life is out of control and I can't control it." And it's just like yeah, this dude's depressed. Like, this is a man who's just like, what are you doing? Making chocolate pudding, because it's the only thing that makes sense. Everything else is just, I have no control. I've lost control of my life. And it's like, oh, it's just so bad.
Yeah. Just writing it home at that point.
Yeah, and I don't know. I like the weird theories that came about because of those shows. Like how all of that was actually like in Cynthia's head, because that's one I know, was that it was in Cynthia's head, and that each one was like, yeah, like all of the, or not Cynthia, Angelica. That's what yeah, like it's all in Angelica's head, because like something happened to each of these kids, and she was just imagining all this, kind of like losing her mind, not like as a kid, just not able to cope with what had happened. Yeah, and it was like really dark. I was just like, jeez. Like, do you know that one?
No, I don't.
So the theory is that Tommy died, and that's why Stu is very depressed, and his mom is very manic.
Okay.
Is something happened to Tommy and he died? Um, the twins, Phil and Lil, their mom had an abortion, so she didn't know
Oh.
whether the baby was going to be a boy or a girl. So she created twins. Cynthia, this very messed up looking doll she had, is actually representation of her real mother, where the mom in the show is her stepmom. Hence the distance and why she's not very caring or loving and treats her almost like you'd think like a step parent would treat a stepchild when they're not
Yeah.
super close. Uh, Dildo, the youngest one, was real, but
Right.
she didn't know it because she just assumed at this point that he was part of the whole thing.
Yeah.
Um,
Wow.
what's her name? The other girl.
Oh, Susie?
Susie. Yeah, Susie. Susie was real too, and she knew that all of this was in her head, but she played along with it because she didn't know what else to do, but just kind of like slightly enable her. I forget what happened to Chucky. I think Chucky died as well, but it was weird because like it was also like the cause of why his dad was like very neurotic and things like that. So it's just a bunch of tragedy surrounding her. And then when they had the All Grown Up series, that theory actually evolved even further, was that she had been fine until she got into like high school, where the pressure of life and everything just came crashing down on her and she cracked and reinvented the kids again as teenagers now, all going through high school, and Susie here has to just cope with the fact that this is happening again.
Oh, so this is
To
all
her-
in
to
her.
her.
So this is just all a figment of her imagination. Like she's
It's
talking
all in
to
Angelica's
fake
head,
people.
yeah.
That's
And she's
crazy.
losing her mind. Yeah. I was just like, this is like wild and upsetting, but it makes so much sense when you just hear the little pieces and just see how the adults actually react and interact to these kids and
Yeah.
the weird things that they can do. And Angelica watching all this happening, but you have to sit here going like, yeah, no kid would ever be able to do this. But if it's
Right.
inside another child's mind on why like babies, because the oldest one beyond Susie and Angelica is Chucky, but he's 2. He doesn't get older than 2. So everybody has to be a year old or less. Dill is never a year old. They only age when they go to the All Grown Up series.
Yeah.
That's the only time they age up. And that's it.
Yeah.
Which it doesn't help that that was fake. That entire All Grown Up was fake. Because at the very end of it, like the last episode, Angelica and Tommy are fighting over a microphone at a talent show, if I remember correctly. And they fall forward almost like off the stage. And what happens is as they fall forward, the scene kind of like changes. And you see them as their younger selves, the baby and like the, you know, like the small younger version of, I don't know how old Angelica was, but just them back to the original, you know, age that they were. So it had all been fake the entire time, and they were just playing all grown up. And that's all that was.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it doesn't it doesn't dissuade the delusion that this small child had at all.
I had no idea about that.
Oh yeah, it's one of my favorite fan theories of a show that just, it's so wild, and you just have to sit there going, wow.
This is
Okay.
believable.
Yeah, there's so many dark ones because did you ever watch Hey Arnold?
Yeah, that one. I know a few about that, and I can believe a good bit.
Like her,
a couple of those.
Yeah, like the mom in Hey Arnold was drunk all the time, and that's why she couldn't go pick her up. That's why she can never drive. Unattentive on why she always had juice.
Mm-hmm.
She was always drinking juice and had juice. It wasn't juice; it was alcohol. She was a drunk,
Yeah.
and that's why her life was just so awful.
Well, and
but
you
her
could
sister's
tell-
was fine.
You could tell Helga's dad was like the one that was trying to keep everything together, and you could tell why he could get upset about things because he's having to take care of that in addition to taking care of the kids.
Yup. And it's ridiculous, and I find it funny how dark some of these theories are when the show isn't necessarily hinting at it being that way to any degree.
Yeah.
But I like how plausible a lot of them are. It's just like, yeah, I believe that. I believe that it's this messed up. Because why not?
Yeah. It makes it, I mean, there's valid arguments that can lead you to believe it. One I didn't ever hear anything about that was really good and wholesome and fun was Kim Possible.
Mm.
And it had like every voice actor we grew up with at least made a guest appearance. I mean, minus like maybe Mark. Mark Hamill probably made an appearance, honestly. And
Well,
then
I'd have to look, but I think
yeah, I wouldn't doubt it.
I can't imagine he didn't.
He did some probably super minor villain of some sort, because he would always that would just be his one-off in a lot of shows, even in what was it? I think he was in Danny Phantom. I can't remember where, but I'm about 100% sure he played something, like one of the bad ghosts. And I know Tara did. Tara played the rock star, Tara Strong.
Yeah,
if you guys
Ember.
don't know, she played so many different people. I've actually, if you hold up a second, I have a sheet that she signed, and it's got several different characters. If y'all want to taste of it, she's done Harley Quinn in all the Arkham games. She's the rocker chick from Danny Phantom. She played Raven in like every Teen Titans Bubbles. She's in what's that show? My Little Pony thing. And then she did Batgirl in season 4 of Batman the Animated Series, which is what I made her fan artwork of, and gave her, and then also made this, and she loved it. So, but she couldn't take it on the plane because it was too big. But yeah, she's got Tara's been in any and everything you can imagine, whether you think she has or not. She played. She was Dill from Rugrats. She still is. She still plays Dill.
Yeah.
She did the voice when she was on the panel. I was like, you could still do that, like spot on, like 30 years later. Your vocal cords haven't done anything to keep you from hitting that high.
I mean, if it's consistent enough, like, I mean, for as many years as she's played those characters, I doubt that she couldn't redo those. But even if she, like, I think at the worst, she'd have to hear her own voice do it again, like once, and then go, oh, I know what that is. Because that happens to me a lot when I go, like, oh, what am I doing? I haven't done this in almost a year. What did I sound like? Well, I don't remember doing that at all. And just having to go, all right, let's try.
For you, so y'all probably don't know, but Jacob did a character in a YouTube series, and he couldn't do it for a while, and he reached out and said, hey, I thought you could do this. Well, they came to me, and he's got maybe 2 to 3 octave deeper voice than I can go, maybe even 4. But they kept telling me, I need you to go deeper. Like, so you'd have to do a vocal fry, which is when you wake up in the morning and like you're like, oh man, and you're just letting your voice just go, like the grudge of sorts, and then but doing that like and holding it. Oh man, I was struggling. I was struggling, and they're like, just a little bit lower, a little bit lower. I was like, dude, I can't. I was like, this is as low as I can go. Um,
It helps when you have a lovely little SM7B and you can just be really close to it so you can be super quiet
yeah,
because I mean, it's your vocal fry. So being loud and sitting on your fry is not easy, I will say. It's not that you can't do it, it's just not easy. So it's just far
right.
easier to be quiet. And when you're quieter, you actually have a little bit more range in certain directions, so you can get a bit lower. Being loud in your vocal fry actually is a completely different thing. That is where we get into like fry screaming and music and stuff like that. But speaking and wanting to sit there as guys, it's just the easiest way to like explain it to another guy is like if you can sound like you do when you first wake up in the morning, like when you're very tired, you're gonna naturally sit on your fry. That's about where every guy wakes up at. It's very gruff. It's just it's all that, and it's just all right, cool. Let's talk that way. And I actually pulled it up earlier today to like watch just a little bit of it and go like, I don't have context for any of the words I said. Let me get some. And like, it's not like they give me the whole script. I just don't always read it all because it's like I need to focus on like my lines here, make sure I get them and send them in. So I was re-listening to some of this, going like, "Oh, I remember saying that line. Oh, this was the context. Oh,
Whoops.
yeah." Going like, "Huh? I don't remember this at all." And just hearing me talk, I was like, "Oh boy," because like because when we were talking about it earlier, it was like, yeah, I remember it being a little
Gravelly.
and, yeah, and it wasn't just gravelly. They wanted it to sound like I think I remember the initial thing she said was that she wanted it to sound almost like I was in pain. And so
Yeah.
there's more happening. I'm not just on my vocal fry. I'm on my vocal fry and actively like flicking my voice off and stretching it to sound like it's just like talking is a chore. And I hear me doing it. I'm like, oh yeah, this is me like really, really trying to like stretch out my vocal cords and make them go into weird directions to get this kind of pained fry sound that still sits in a certain way. And like part of me hates it, but it hates it because like my brain goes, there's a problem here, not in like the performance, but like when you hear somebody's voice sounding like that, your brain, at least mine, wants to say there's something wrong with your voice. There's a problem here. And I can't identify what it is. It sounds like you got hurt. And your voice shouldn't sound like that normally. Like that's all my brain could hear when I was listening to this. Especially as like I was listening to the other VAs talking with my character back and forth. It's like, ooh, yeah, it doesn't sound like my character should be talking ever. This
Yeah.
guy really sounds like he's got to fight to say what he needs to say. And I was like, ooh. Started feeling a little bad for my character, going like, I just thought you were a mercenary who just wanted to like get paid. Now I feel like there's maybe some throat surgery would do you some good, but
Yeah.
it's a lot of fun. I really like
It
this
is.
character.
And it's interesting. Like I remember when we were first doing this, the vocal academy stuff, and then we went off to like start doing some of these little. We joined a couple of Discords where they would have these little events, and I had one person pull me in, and I must have auditioned for probably 25 different things, and the one I got, I didn't expect. It was the one where I was just like, okay, I'll just like I'm getting kind of tired, and I'm just gonna pull this out of my butt, and I went off of like a core memory of getting yelled at in gym class, and then just pulled it out, and then I get a message being like, hey, love that. Here's the lines. I was like, what did I do? Because I didn't remember. I'd done like 25 auditions, and they were all live, so I was like,
I vaguely remember.
what did you want?
Yeah, I think because wasn't it for like a game jam or something where they pulled a bunch of VAs in and we all just like shotgun live audition for like a bunch of different stuff. Like they'd pull us all in.
Yes.
Read. Yeah, because I remember. Because weren't you like a werewolf coach or something?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I
I
wanted
remember
to see that.
Yeah,
I wanted to see that come to fruition. Unfortunately, the person got very, very sick, and like it never came to being. But
oh,
I did get the game. I have it in my email somewhere. I have the actual prototype of everything and what the character would be and the movement they'd be making, so that I could actually see what would be happening, which was fascinating to get to watch it, and that's basically more or less ADRing it.
that's interesting. Yeah,
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, like getting all that thrown at you at once. And I was like, oh, this makes it so much better when I have some visual interpretation. Because I would always ask that whenever someone would reach out, I'd be like, hey, give me a visual. Let me see what I'm working with, so then I can kind of come up with something a little bit better. Because if I'm going in blind, I mean, you can tell me, well, this is Stan. He's got a chiseled jawline, real pretty boy, cocky attitude, and been like, okay, but like, how does he look? Like, if you can give me a rough render, then I can kind of gauge up the annoying personality.
yeah.
And give you something maybe a little bit more than what I would give you up front.
That's funny and kind of interesting because I think I'm fairly certain the vast majority of the roles that I have that are actively published right now, I'm either like a creature, so I never saw what I was in the beginning,
Yeah.
or like I don't have a face. Because there's a game I'm in called This Magic Girl is a Bitch, which is just hilarious. But I am the teacher, and his name is Mr. Teacher. I get to be the lovely dude who just doesn't actually have a name.
Yeah.
But I am a peanuts adult. Like it cuts off like from your chin up. So you can't really see my face ever because there is no face. So I'm just like this very skinny bodied person
Yeah.
with like kind of just giant sleeves kind of hanging off him. And I was just like, okay. So they're like, we just need you to be like in a higher register. And I was like, cool. So it's just me, like a couple knocks up, and I just never really saw that. And then, of course, I also did monster noises for that game because I get turned into a monster because it's all about
fun.
It's all about magic girls. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, haha. And so I get turned into one. I was like, great. Never saw the monster until I played the game.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's what I was. That's not what I thought. But you know what? Cool. Because I thought it was like some werewolfy kind of thing. No, it's like an alligator kind of thing. I'm like, wow, different animal. But you know what? I was close. It was an animal. Because I know, because like a weird one I did was I was a tree. And so they're
Like
like
an ant?
no, an actual tree. So it's a tree with the face.
Yeah.
It can move around and stuff. This is just, I am a big tree that's just some very old tree, and I just have a very weird way of talking because they wanted like parts of it to like slow down and stretch to kind of show like there was just this like age with it, as well as just like something was wrong. And there was another, I think it was a smaller tree, but it was like almost like two creatures in one kind of thing. That was a different VA voicing that. So I just had to like sit there and talk more like, you know, oh gosh, what was it? I remember how to do the stretching bit because I went like this and just kept doing that and stretching my voice out.
That's
over
impressive.
And over.
It's interesting to watch your mouth.
Yeah, because it's just like, it helps. It's that whole thing of like, you're gonna look stupid when you do this anyways, and we're not on camera actors, so it's fine.
Right.
So yeah, like it's just fun to think because that's all I thought. I was like, well, you want me to make weird kind of stretching noises, so it's just like, all right, what if I actually pulled my face to the side while I
Yeah.
talked? And so it just worked out and it stretched out and it was a lot of fun. So I just got to be doing that. Uh, I did get one job because I totally misunderstood what I was looking at, but I got the job anyway.
That's sick.
Yeah, so it's for this how do they describe it? I think the core of what they describe it is a dating sim, though I think it's more along the lines of a visual novel
Okay.
for oh, I'm gonna mess it up because I always want to call it something else entirely. Um oh, if you remember that cartoon, the cartoon on YouTube that's got Bob the Cannibal, and it's all about like like the kids like say spooky time and stuff. It's them dressed up as like a pumpkin, and then I think like a little skeleton running around getting candy, and then there's like bullies and stuff, and eldritch horrors and weirdness to this whole thing. Well, they talked to the people who made that and got permission to make this entire game out of it, based around Bob, the cannibal dude. So it's this whole dating sim involving him. And when I saw the audition for it, I auditioned for a few of them, but one of them was the police chief. And the picture's like more of this dude's head. I, because there's no color and it's just a sketch, I swear it was a chicken. Like I was thinking almost like, cartoon, like chicken kind of face because I saw a beak and everything. I was like, sure. So I just did like a little bit of like a foghorn leghorn kind of voice for one of them.
Yeah.
And just did a bunch of like things in that mind going like, this is just a giant chicken. And they're like, no, that's a mustache. After I got the job, I was like, what? And they're like, yeah, that's a mustache. And they showed me a full picture of him. I was like, I thought he was a chicken. And they were so confused until I pointed it out. And they're like, oh my gosh, we drew a chicken. I was like, well,
I mean,
but now I'm a police chief because I thought he was a chicken and voiced a chicken.
that had to be so much fun.
It was. It's just a very deep voiced, over the top kind of voice, like very bombastic. It just really, it's such a ridiculous thing. I just get to be a police chief. I'm just sit here and do this the entire time, and it's ridiculous. And then they got me to play a stoner as well on that, which is actually in the demo. The police chief's not in the demo, but the stoner is. So
Hey, man.
Yeah, man. So I get to sit here and just ask for some more chicken nuggies and, have the main character help me out of the cop car because I was arrested for, I mean, it was a misunderstanding is all it really was. I just kind of wanted some chicken nuggies,
I just got to do
Dude.
that the entire time.
Okay, I have a question about where that comes from because it sounds almost spot on to Harris from Parks and Rec.
Oh man,
The white dude. It sounds like a more hyper Harris.
maybe. Oh gosh, I haven't seen a lot of Parks and Rec, so I can't readily identify their voice. But that one, it's just very hoarse for me. So it's,
Yeah.
So, gosh, kind of walk through it. If I'm talking here, if I just walk up to about here, and then I pull it back to where it's just very light and airy, and then
Yeah.
if you think kind of like what a stoner would do, where you go, whoa,
That's cool, man.
Yeah, man. And so it's just, once you get that, whoa, you put a lot of energy behind it and you just get this really stonered voice. So long as you sound relaxed, it's all good.
it's just the energy that you kind of put behind it gives
Yeah.
you that stoner, in my opinion, because that's what I do. It gives it that stoner vibe. Because at that point, I'll just slow down what I'm saying, which gives it more of that relaxed tone, even though you hear energy behind it. So it just still sounds like a stoner. And it's just kind of how I did it. But
Yeah.
if I have to explain it, otherwise it's like, I don't know, I did it. I didn't really think about it. I just sometimes I don't guess what I do. I'm just glad that I could do it.
Yeah. I get it.
Yeah. But it's so fun. Because the last job I did was on another game jam with one of my producers, Niv, who I absolutely love. I'm so glad that they will bring me into so many of their projects because it's always fun, and a lot of them are very like horror-based games, and I love horror-based games.
Mm-hmm.
And so they wanted to make this kind of like phasmophobia kind of like game, and I got to be their creatures for a lot of these. And again, I didn't see what these creatures were in the beginning. I just knew at one point they were like, "Oh, it's an eyeball with tentacles," and I was like, "Okay." So I had to make tentacle noises, which is just me, just kind of like really close to the camera my mic. I kind of want to do it, but I also don't because I don't know who's listening, and I don't know how weirded out people will get because it's a lot
Yeah.
of like, it's a lot of spit. Is
I was
essentially
about
what
to
it
say,
is.
it sounds
and you
like
just kinda,
slurpy. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's like that. Like if I get closer to the camera, you hear what I did.
Some
But it's a
ASMR
lot
stuff.
of that. Yeah, but it's a lot of that and just like squishes and movement, and then just me kind of because I can talk like Stephen Hawking's essentially is how I learned how to do it, which is just inhaling when you speak. Yeah. Look, when you're in high school,
know.
Well, it's when you do this, and you don't actually have to move your mouth. You just begin to speak.
yeah, imagine being a high schooler doing that while sitting in a chair in speech and debate. So we're all sitting in chairs, and so we do this, and we just only move a finger.
And we just begin to talk like this to you the entire time.
I love how you're just sitting there too.
Yeah, and
to embody it more.
that's exactly what we would do. And mind you, this is speech and debate, so we're going to other high schools to compete. So we will do that, and in like normal like school chairs that you'd think, we just slam a foot forward and drag the chair up to people and just begin doing that just to the random people. And because I learned how to do that, my friend told me, because I asked him how he did it, and he's like, "Oh, you got to learn how to sound like a pterodactyl." I was like, "What?" He's like, and he's like, "Do that." Okay. And so I can't tell you the process on how I learned to do it then. I can walk you through the process now because I have the knowledge because I've done it for so long. But I did that and I learned how to talk like Stephen Hawking's. So with this little character, it's just me doing a lot of squelching in my mouth, which is and just pulling in air to make those kind of noises over and over again. And you just have a floating eyeball monster that's just there, which is just a lot of fun. That's why I like being monsters. I can make the weirdest noises. No one's going to question me on it. And people keep hiring me, so I'm doing something right.
Oh. So, current projects. What are you looking at doing right now? If you can talk about it.
Current projects. Current projects would be the that Minecraft show that we were talking about, where my Fry voice, I got more lines for that. I think I can talk about it. There's nothing that says I can't, but I'll be vague enough because I don't know the full details.
Right.
But for that cannibal thing, because the thing is called Tender Love and Cannibal. They were talking about being close or being close-ish, I think, to the script for Act 1 being done, somewhere along those lines. So I might be I'm hoping I get lines here pretty soon so I can start just being really weird with them again. But honestly, beyond that, like I've actually wrapped up more jobs here recently than I've gotten new ones so far. So a lot of these things I've done now are just like personal stuff or music involving rather than voice acting.
Yeah, and you're on Cameo doing a bunch of different covers.
Instagram, not Cameo. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
so you are okay.
Yeah. So on Instagram, I have a bunch of metal covers that I do that I'll post
Yeah.
like every other week, which is a lot of fun because I've thankfully got to meet some of the band members for some of these covers that I've done, and they're all lovely people. I love them all. And this one, which is the band Tarsal, I forget every time until either my friend reminds me or I hear the song that I'm the first thing you hear on that EP because they asked me to be their news anchor. So I was their news anchor for their EP, and I did a bunch of stuff for their live set. So in between songs, there'll just be like another radio announcement that I did about some like cult that's forming in Jersey because they're from Jersey.
Yeah.
And it's like it's this whole story. Like the whole EP is about a story of like a cult leader and like a guy kind of losing his mind, going further and further into this whole thing. And it's really, really cool. So I got to do that with them, and I forget that I did that like all the time because it's my friend's music.
Yeah.
It's not like the things I make or do. So I always forget that I actually did it for them, and they were like, yeah, you're on it. And I was like, oh, cool. I forget that. And they've gotten really big here recently. So it still surprises me that somebody would hear my voice on something like an album, which is, it's still kind of like that shock of like knowing that there are video games out there that I'm in. I'm like, people still play and hear those things. Because to me, I don't really think about it at all until it gets brought up and I go, oh yeah, I did do that.
Yeah.
Neat. So I'm hoping I get to do more stuff. I want to work with them again because like I said, I love them. They're all great guys and it's a lot of fun. But we'll see. I know that they're doing a bunch of stuff and they're playing a bunch of shows right now. And like, I'm hoping I get to hear more new stuff from them here soon. I know, but I don't know things that they're working on.
Right.
For like, yeah, reasons. But other than that, like like I said, like a lot of things at this point are kind of personal projects that I do. That maybe I'll post somewhere, maybe not. It depends on how much I actually like the production value I put on it. Like on my YouTube, there's a thing I did for I don't even remember what I called it. It was like this one shot like TTRPG kind of thing that I made up to play with a bunch of friends where it was just like it was a space horror thing, very much like Dead Space and stuff like that, right? Where they were coming onto a ship for like the crew, various reasons coming onto the ship, and they were going to be there. And after they got there, everything, went to hell. Everybody was, dead and like these eldritch kind of horrifying monsters and stuff everywhere. I know we recorded part of it. If I can ever find it, I might post it. But that was just fun for me as a DM because I didn't have to remember anything I said because the whole point was it was more psychological horror. So I could just say straight to their faces, I never said that at all. Just watch them stare at me and I just go, and just, nope, never said that. I don't know what you're talking about. And they just like, this is infuriating. They had fun and they loved it. And I think that's about the only time you could probably look at somebody in the eye and say, I never said those words, or no, no, I said this, and just be lying the entire time and they're aware of it. But they have to take it as fact that they're all losing their minds in the game.
Yeah.
And so I made a trailer for it and I posted that on YouTube where I got to, which that one was fun for me because I got to learn a bit more about sound design, not just voice acting, but like I got to do sound design. I got to do some production stuff. There are parts
That's
that
fun.
I think are rough on it. Yeah. So I want to make more of those. And I have a few that I do because I am doing another thing with same group of people. It's another game. So I might end up putting that one out too. It's completely different. We'll see. Beyond that, it's me slowly learning how to write music. And
that's fun.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I have learned that I hate the guitar entirely. because it is,
Playing it?
yeah, it's the one instrument that doesn't make sense to my brain. Like I can sit here and go like, yeah, I understand how to make all of these instruments make the sounds that I want. I know how to slam it together. Then I look at the guitar and I go, why does this sound wrong? And my friend has walked me through so much going like, oh, this is what you're doing wrong. You need to learn how to do this. It's just the slow evolution of how much I hate the guitar. And he just laughs at me every single time
Yeah.
I attempt to do this. And he's just like, yup, that sounds about right. That sounds about how we all feel about the guitar.
Yeah, no, I mean, no, I'm not great by any means, but I hate arpeggios. I hate them so much. I hate them to where I'd want to burn the guitar. And there's some I can do. There's like some old Boston songs. For some reason, some of those arpeggios click. But then you've got these wonky ones, and then it starts transitioning between like 10 or 20 arpeggios in a song, and I'm like, what sadistic butthole wrote this? Like, why would you do this to me? I just want to play your song. I didn't ask you to freaking write me an opera.
Just for your insanity, it's not going to help you. You should go look up how the band Humanity's Last Breath, how they write their songs. Because they are fall, which it's metal. It's very low and heavy and groovy, but it's very synth forward. So there's a lot of synths in it. And their Buster, who is their bassist, no, one of the guitarists, that's what it is. If you look at like his dog, because he's got like a bunch of like videos on like how he wrote their stuff, because they have a few different bands that they're all in.
Yeah.
And looking at his DAW for this, it is just a mess of crap. Because there are times where he detunes the guitar down 12 for just sections. It's not the whole song. It's just a section of the song. Yeah. And you just, why? Because it sounds cool in the end.
Yeah.
But like looking at this, you go, what did you do? It's worse.
Yeah, how did I do this?
Well, it's worse when you realize he plays his guitar upside down.
I say he Hendrixes it. Jimi Hendrix?
Kind of, but it's not the opposite hand. It's literally just upside down. So rather than your thickest string being your top, it's now your lowest. He literally plays the guitar flipped the other way, and that's why. No clue why
Never
he does
heard
it
of
that way. Yeah, but that also gives it such a very distinct sound, because now, like, because you hit your top string pretty hard, but now imagine that in your top string that you're hitting the hardest is your highest string.
Yeah.
And so when you hear some of these songs, especially like I'd say listen to it, and still it's one of like a really good one that you'll hear where it's like it opens up with a dun dun with a little tremolo.
Yeah.
That tremolo is really high, but he's hitting that and doing that tremolo. But because he's got the force of it being the top string, it's got a very unique sound to it. It's ridiculous, but
probably
so
resonates
cool.
differently with the guitar too.
Oh yeah, you gotta listen to them, and then you'll kind of hear what it is, especially considering that you could play the guitar, where I can't, realistically speaking. So you'll hear the weirdness. I get to sit here trying to listen to the weirdness and then figure out what they're doing, ask my friend, have him laugh at me, and then try again. Because I am a vocalist first before anything else.
Yeah.
So I get to do all those fun things and figure out what the vocalist is doing, which I have slowly fallen into the fun thing that I've learned that happens to every band, where they just kind of hate their songs after a while. Especially because they're playing on tour. They got to play every single night, and their tour set, it's the same songs. So eventually they're just going to hate playing these songs for a while. And the last one I did, I completely hated doing it because it was so hard because of just the production value that they had on it. And trying to replicate it and sound like him. I mean, it's hard because I I did Lorna Shore's new song Oblivion, and their current
Lorna
vocalist.
Shore?
Yeah, Lorna Shore. Yeah,
I've heard of her.
yeah. Well, it's a group of guys. It's
Or
oh gosh, yeah.
oh,
Well, no, so you're not wrong, but you're also wrong. So like it's a group of guys. It's a metal band. However, the name Lorna Shore, they got their name from their original vocalist, and Lorna Shore is a background character in a Batman comic that was there for like 1 or 2 panels, and that's it.
huh?
And he named the band after this woman. And so yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, and that's been their name the entire time, and it's stuck. But their new song, it's a lot of fun, and I like it. But I got sick and tired of hearing it by the end because I had to listen to these sections over and over and over and hear how he's doing it, which
Yeah.
it's essentially voice acting at this point, is what it is. Because I'm trying to hear what he's doing and then replicate these sounds
Yeah.
audibly, and doing it, and it's just the problem becomes where it's like, okay, is this production or is this actually you making this noise? Can I make that noise? Okay, if I can't, what register could I get closer to? How do I sound like this? So like I end up looking at a lot of these, especially when I can't just like immediately do something or I'm not in their tone. I end up looking at it more or less like it's voice acting, because I
Yeah.
have to, because at that point it is a voice of like, all right, cool, this is going to be in like like a false chords. All right, cool. I got to engage my false chords. I got to be about this low versus like this high. Oh, these are fry chords. Okay, I can only hit this high, so I got to go here. Can I make this noise? Absolutely not. Okay, what can I do instead? I'm going to throw in a bunch of stuff in the background to kind of make it sound like it's closer to that, which is where I will do some cheap tricks and inhale, because I can stretch up really high or really low when I inhale. Whereas exhaling, I kind of have a different limit, but I've got a different limit for a handful of other reasons, because it's hard and it's a lot of practice, and
Right.
it's the same thing as like, talking, like my voice is different
Yeah.
from yours. And so there is going to be in general, a difference of what you can sound like from like one artist to another. Just trying to do some of these sounds. Some of these dudes are absolutely ridiculous. And it is amazing. Which is why, to me, like I kind of just look at it like it's just another form of voice acting, really, because that's all it kind of is to me. It's like, all right, we're just gonna make this noise, we're gonna talk with it, and we're gonna do a performance out of it, and we're gonna go from there. And so, whenever I hear somebody making some weird noise, it's like, ooh, how did you do that? What part of your body did you engage to make this noise? And it's the same thing with like a lot of like voice acting and stuff I end up hearing, especially when I hear like very interesting like character voices and stuff, where I go like, all right, cool, is this you? Is this production on it? Like, sometimes I want to pull that apart and go like, this is cool. Like did you play the new Doom game, Doom the Dark Ages?
No, I'm waiting for the sale.
So
I've seen some gameplay.
Yeah, so an interesting character is I'm gonna mess up how to say his name. Prince Azric? It's probably not right to any degree. But the Demon Prince, our main villain here, right?
Yeah.
It's this very like, it's what you think he would have. It's just very calm, kind of like superior, regal kind of thing. But it's double layered, right? So you've got like 2 different voices essentially going. And whenever I hear that, I always wonder whether or not they had the voice actor retake those lines at a slightly different tone, or if they just took the initial tone and then they just pitched it up or down so that it was just layered over, right?
Right.
Because when you do like a lot of music, whenever you have something like that, you can't just copy paste it down, because you actually audibly hear that there's something wrong because it's the same thing.
Yeah.
So I have to retake the entirety of it, even if it's like, a left and a right channel. I have to do a completely different take for both left and right, and hope that I am matching as close as I possibly can. Because it's like the little, and it's like the little things of like where you breathed in one versus the other, versus like a slight inflection here and there. Like you can get pretty dang close, But when you really start listening to it, you're like, oh, I hear the little differences. So whenever I hear that stuff and like less music inclined, but far more voice acting inclined, I always like it, and I always wonder, like, all right, cool. How did they end up doing this at the end? Was you as the voice actor? How did you perform this? Like, where's the where's the weird thing you did? Because some voices are just absolutely weird, and I love it. Like, I think one of my favorite ones, which everybody knows, is like how Doom 2016 starts with what was it, like, in the first age, like just in the first age, just that really deep low, and I'm like, cool. Yeah, like I know how he's doing. Like I know how he's doing it. And like I know how my body wants me to do it, which is just very false chord heavy. And I'm like, all right, cool, neat, and I can kind of sound like that. But to me, it's not like super sustainable long term.
Right.
Especially to try to get like that tonality he's got, and just like the way he says that. So it makes me wonder. I'm like, are you doing it like this? Are you doing it in a different way? Like, what part of your body did you engage to get this sound? Because it's really cool and I really like it.
I just had kind of a moment trigger. I wonder if that was the guy that played that ugly orc in Lord of the Rings: Return of the King.
Ooh,
The dawn of the orc has come. Kind of.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't.
Because if
I
you
know I
put
looked
him
it
up
up
to the
once.
mic, it'd sound different. That's why. Only reason I say that. And if they made him go more vocal fry with it, it would have worked to sound exactly the same, I would think.
Maybe. I know I looked it up like a long time ago when I was first like listening to the OST over and over and over again. Because at that point I really wanted to know, and I can't remember right now off the top of my head who it was.
Yeah, I don't know.
So it might be. You might be right on that.
Yeah, it sounds
'cause I'm always-
very similar, at least in my head.
Yeah, I'm always surprised by like going like, oh, that was you. When I learned that like somebody did this thing and then they just this wildly different thing. And it's like,
Yeah.
oh.
It was like Billy West doing frickin' Zoidberg and then turning around and doing Fry and Professor Farnsworth. I'm like, or Zach Brannigan.
Yeah. It's
I
just-
look amazing.
I enjoy like the little, because I don't know how common it was, right? Because like it's always different for studios and stuff on how they want somebody to go through their lines. But I remember seeing like little clips of him doing his takes,
Mm-hmm.
and he would just pop between the characters consistently when they were all in a set. Because I think they did a lot of those like live roundtable with everybody, with all the voice actors there. And he would just go from one character to the next because that was the order, and just no hesitation, no little mess up. He was just smoothly clicking in.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing to watch that happen and go like, dang, that's two completely different characters, completely in different ranges. But you're so smooth into hitting them correctly with, from my end, like absolutely no mistake I can hear. And it's just amazing to see what like a lot of these seasoned voice actors can really do.
Yeah.
Just with the years amount of practice and stuff of them constantly doing this work and things. It's amazing.
There's a handful I can there's a lot I can distinguish, but there's some, and that was one of them where I was like, oh my God, I didn't know he did all three or all seven, whatever characters that I liked in Futurama were all the same person. And I was like, they were so distinct in range where you couldn't tell. And it was like the construction dude was played by him.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I'm pretty sure it was, yeah, I think it was. And then I know, what was the other one? Oh, so John, is it, guy who plays Bender. Can't remember his name right now.
Joe DiMaggio?
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
that how you say his last name?
It's either Joe or John.
No, it's Joe. It's his last name I always want to mess up. I always mess up his last name. I can't ever say it correct the first time.
Yeah,
I think it's
DiMaggio.
DiMaggio. Yeah, I think it's DiMaggio.
Because I know there's a baseball player named. It's either one or the other, Joe or John.
Yeah.
But that's how I would usually remember him. But Marcus Phoenix in freaking Gears of War, and I had no idea for probably the better part of 6 years, and then I started digging deeper into the games. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's no wonder I love this character so freaking much, because it's the guy who's been with me since I was probably like 7 years old.
Yeah. That's how I felt about Matt Mercer, honestly. Whenever I first, because back when I was in the Navy, I discovered Critical Role through like, oh man, I forget what I'd watched, but there was something that was like a little animated thing of some form of like D&D, and I was like, ooh, I want more of that. And Critical Role ended up popping up, and I was like, oh, I guess I'll listen to this. And I was like, wow, these people sound really familiar. Why? Come find out. Oh, these are all voice actors who I've heard through I don't know how much of every media content I've ever consumed in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, holy crap. And when I heard Matt talk, I was like, well, you're super familiar. Who are you? Come find out he was Leon Kennedy, in Resident Evil. And
really?
Yeah,
that's
he's
why
Leon.
I know the name.
Yeah, he's Leon Kennedy, Resident Evil. And my first Resident Evil game was Resident Evil 4. I played that game into the absolute dirt. I loved that game, and I love the remake. I'm bummed out that that's not Matt Mercer, but I understand why they would want, to bring in new voice actors in general. Like, I get it. But, like, I love Resident Evil 4. I love the remake, and I really love Matt Mercer, and I was just listening to him, and I was like, well, wait, if this is Leon Kennedy, who are these other guys? Started looking into all of their work and going like, holy crap, you people have been in like everything since I was a small child. Like, I gotta listen to your D&D game on the premise of that alone. And then just became a fan of it, just loving like that they were just a bunch of nerds, but like hearing the theater nerds come out in them of going like, ooh, but we can perform because that's who they are. And I'm like, this is the kind of bullshit that I like. And I like as much as some people will give them, especially in the earlier times or even now, and they give them crap of like, it's scripted. I'm like, I don't know. Like, I would say it's about as scripted as any game session is, where like you might have like had a conversation with your DM or one of the other players going like, hey, we should do this in a session and like work it out so that you can actually play through it during the game. I think that's about as scripted as it would get, but like that's normal, right? Like having that discussion is normal. And I don't know. I love it. I love the commitment to the bits that they've got, the fun ways that they get to present their characters. And as a DM, honestly, as a DM who likes RP, like that group, like having a group of people like that is like the dream of having like your players being that invested in RP and like really going for it and full sending it. Like that's always fun. And I'm grateful that the people who I do DM for now are that way. And so I get to have that wonderful little bit of them all acting as their characters and just making a lot of fun choices without there being a lot of breakage or like just weirdness for people who want to be RP focused.
Mm-hmm.
It's fun. And so I'm really grateful for the players I have. I love them all to death.
Speaking of that, I met some people when I was at GalaxyCon in Raleigh. Late July last year, and me and my friends were just trekking through. We ran across these people that had like a D&D group, and they were also like taking donations for honeybees. They were trying to donate money to preserve honeybee sanctuaries and stuff.
Oh yeah.
So I thought that was a cool little cause. So I donated some money, and she's like, okay, pick something. And then she goes through, and I see her dressed up as Harley Quinn, and then her husband dressed up as Bane, like animated series Bane. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm buying that. And so I grabbed that and chat with them, and he's like, yeah, man, we actually stream on Spotify and on Twitch, and you know, if you want to come in and chill sometime. So I've been following them, and I'll pop in every now and again, and they've got like 5 campaigns going. Yeah.
Jeez, I would love that. I don't know enough people to do that. like at all.
And see, they've grown a bunch of their friends through Twitch. And so they will stream their own, and then he will take all their camera captures and put them all on the screen, and he'll have like the character name with some kind of swanky little design work done to it, and I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah, that's been pretty fun to watch, and I agree. I also think that is too much going on for 1 week, but it also isn't in 1 week. He's got, I think, 1 that goes on, or 2 that go on weekly, and then the others are like maybe once or twice a month, because that's the only times they can all get together. I'm like, okay, that's fine. Yeah. And the campaign day is like 4 hours. So it's like they have a whole session of it. So where it makes the content worth it for them to actually go in and record it, as well as just to do it and have fun.
Yeah. So I will also DM for about 4 hours.
It sounds about like it's the norm. And I mean, you all 9 out of 10 times you're traveling to someone's house to do it. But you've all set aside time. You've all put in this time. You might as well just go through and enjoy it, make a whole evening out of it anyway.
Yep. Yeah. We do ours online though, purely because the vast majority of everybody is in Texas, and I am not. I'm up in Oklahoma. Yeah, and then we have one dude down in Florida, and another guy who's all the way over in France. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he's the furthest from us all, and we are playing. Oh, I think when it's about like 3 a.m. for him or something, like it's super, super early for him. But thankfully, he's like awake and playing with us. Yeah.
It must be like, is it like once a month?
It's bi-weekly, so like every other week.
Okay, so 2 days out of the month is not awful to have to be up at that time if he's not night shift already.
No, he's not. I think, if I remember correctly, he just graduated college. I forget what for. I think he has a few different degrees, so I'm not sure what this one was for. But I believe he just graduated, and we play ours on Sunday. So like our Sunday, I think it technically be like Monday morning for him.
Mm-hmm.
But it is according to him when he can. So he has the time at least then for that slot to be able to like actually join us and play, which I'm super grateful for, because I actually like him, and I think he's got a very interesting character that he's created, and I kind of want to see what happens with this character as we keep going.
Awesome.
Yeah, It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I've thought about getting into it at some point.
You should.
I got a couple of friends that have played before, and one of them has been a DM. And what I thought about is we could do it once a month. Just to have guys' night and just chill and you know, kind of space out from reality for a little bit and just have a little bit of fun.
Yeah, you should. Just in general, because you are also a voice actor, it is a good way to just kind of
test the water.
Test water for voices and do weird crap, even if you don't think about it beforehand. Because I am very bad about that, and I improv like 95% of things I do. So people get random voices, and I have to hope I remember how they sounded like if they go talk to this guy again. It's like, what did I do? A Southern accent?
We need to record this.
Yeah, it's like, oh no, a Southern accent. What do you mean? Was it Texas Southern, Georgia Southern, Louisiana Southern? Like, how Southern did I get in this character?
Can you not understand me anymore?
So Louisiana, got it, cool.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, because you're going to talk like this the entire time. It ain't like you going to understand what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying there, Cletus.
Hey, puppet pal Kim.
I don't know why that was. We've talked about enough cartoons that I'm slowly dragging up memories.
Yeah.
Wow,
Dude,
gosh,
I
what
had-
were they called? The Justice Friends. That's what they were.
Wait, was that from Kablam?
It was the Dexter's Laboratory kind of thing.
Oh,
where
the
it was
Justice Friends.
yeah, like it was like I don't remember the characters, but it was like Heavy Metal Thor, Purple Hulk, and then their version of Captain America that I don't remember what his name was.
I think the cast of Dexter's Lab is coming near you soon for a
they?
for Nostalgia Con.
Ooh.
So that and it might be this weekend, but I don't know. I saw that come up, and it was Dee Dee, Dexter, and the dad are all going to be there, which I'm like, that's a lot, and it's probably the first time they've been in the same spot in years. It was like when I met Kevin Conroy a couple of years ago. It was the first time him, Adrienne Barbeau, who played Catwoman, John Glover, who played Riddler, Lauren Lester, who played Robin, and then Poison Ivy was played by Diane Pershing. And they were all they said this is the first time we've been in the same room in 18 years.
Oh,
and I was like, wow, really? It's like y'all haven't all met up since? And they're like, we haven't been able to. I'm like, that's crazy to think about. Like, not once in almost 20 years. But
yeah, I do think about that. I think one of the groups that makes me think about that, at least one of the recent groups, is the cast of Baldur's Gate.
Mm-hmm.
Because they've done stuff together, like they've gotten together and played like D&D with their actual Baldur's Gate characters and stuff. But I know they don't. I know that they're kind of all over. I think a few of them are from the UK. I think if not all of them are from the UK.
And that I get in that sense. But if you
Yeah.
all live in the same country and you can't get together once in 20 years, is kind of mind blowing.
It is. It's mind blowing, but it's also kind of one of those things where, it's like one, that job, being a voice actor, you can do your job remotely,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like two, it's like, well, as big a name as they are, like, oh man, just like how slammed are you with work?
There
at
is
this point,
that.
there's which, yeah, like,
Kevin
and I'm
was
sure,
constantly swamped.
yeah, and I'm sure, like, it's not that they don't want to. It's just I would have to assume it's mostly more of like life obligations, and then just the amount of work that they have,
Yeah.
being who they are, and just having the experience that they have in the industry. Just being that desirable. I have to assume that it just kind of gets really hard for people to meet up like they want, even if they are like, because I don't know if the majority of them lived over in California or not, because I know, like, I
True.
think the biggest hubs are California, Texas, and New York.
Atlanta is becoming one
Yeah.
big time lately, especially for regular acting. It's exploding. I've seen that.
Yeah, that was because of The Walking Dead.
Well, that, and then Tyler Perry made his compound down there. Then you also had Cartoon Network's Adult Swim studio is down there.
Oh, is it? I did not know.
Yes, yes.
That's cool.
And then they also had the studio that made Archers down there.
Oh, Titmouse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's actually that's so they're so small. That's someone I'd like to talk with someone from there and kind of just see the range of craziness that went into that entire show. It would be fascinating.
Yeah, I think one of the only things I remember, like, not of the show, but like about outside of the show, was I always forget his name. The voice actor for Cyril, that
Oh yeah.
that people would say, like, oh, you, like, are you an actual accountant because you look like an actual
He
accountant
does,
in
yeah.
real life. And I never actually looked up what he looked like at all until I was watching Brooklyn Nine-Nine, because he's
Yeah.
on that show as a
Yeah.
lawyer. And I looked at it and was like, oh, yeah, I can see that. And
Yeah.
Just was like, I see it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe you're an accountant.
Well, it's like H. John Benjamin was on Parks and Rec as a lawyer, and I heard the voice. I was like, I knew exactly who it was the second I heard his voice, because I remembered him first from Home Movies. I'd watched that as a kid, even though I shouldn't have. But it was hilarious, and it reminded me of that one cool coach you would always have at school that was like on the same level as all of y'all, and you would all get along, and you could tell them whatever.
Yep.
And they were straight up. But yeah, he played a lawyer for like an episode or two, and then I saw him again in Wet Hot American Summer special on Netflix. He played the can of beans. He's like a counselor that got turned into a can of beans for some reason. And so you had a talking can of beans for like the whole 5 episodes. This is interesting. And then Cheryl was in Halloween Reboot as the daughter.
Was she?
Yeah, she was the daughter in the Halloween Reboot. 100%. Because
The
I heard her talk and I was like, "You're not my supervisor." That's all I could hear in my head.
the recent one?
Yeah.
I'll have to rewatch that. I don't think I caught that.
Mm-hmm. Well, she's not. You wouldn't really know it because you don't see her in a whole lot.
Yeah.
But her voice is just, I can't miss it. And that, and I'm trying to, and I know Aisha Tyler's been on like The View or something for like 12 years. So I knew where she was from. And then of course the mom, freaking Jessica Walters, the late Jessica Walters, was on Arrested Development.
Yeah.
For years. And just so many names in there. I'm like, wow, how'd you get this group of people together?
I don't know. It's always amazing to just kind of like, especially like for me, especially in voice acting, when I don't necessarily always think it's like the biggest, like not for nothing. Like I don't always think it's like the biggest people, you know, acting wise in Hollywood until you get the names and you go like, oh, either I realize, oh, you've been in so much versus like, oh no, it's because you're an on-screen actor for the vast majority of your roles versus doing a bunch of voiceover stuff. And that always surprises me whenever we get actual on-screen actors as voiceover actors instead.
Yeah.
Because it's just not super common because it's funny as it is to say, it's a completely different medium. It's also funny to watch voice actors go to on screen.
It is a whole different beast watching it go that way versus vice versa. And I feel like they, much like Mark Hamill, I felt like was one of the first ones that was big to transition off the screen because he was kind of tired of it and just didn't want to deal with it anymore.
Yeah.
And then he could just sit in a booth, make good enough money, and not have to care.
Yup.
And I respected all of that and felt very inclined to believe the same from who's been doing a lot of that? Amy Poehler's done a lot of that now. From Parks and Rec.
Yep.
Amongst other things. And
doesn't she have a show on Hulu? Is it Duncanville? If I remember correctly?
Might be. I'm not sure. I didn't even know that.
I could be wrong. I don't think I am because it's been a minute since I've had Hulu, but that was like one of those Hulu original like cartoons that showed up.
Yeah.
And I love it. It's very much like
Yes. And she also played in Inside Out, I think.
Was she?
I'm pretty sure she was in Inside Out.
I think I only saw that movie maybe once or twice, so I don't remember it super well. Really, I don't remember all the voices super well, so I'll have to rewatch it because I know.
Do you remember
I
The
know
Mighty
everybody loves
Bee?
it. Ooh,
It was very short lived. It was like 2 seasons on Nick.
I want to say vaguely because I know the name. I just can't. I'm trying to like pull an actual image into my brain.
You can look it up if you want.
I will have to because it's just one of those things where like I know this thing, but
Yeah. The Mighty Bee.
yes, I remember this now.
Yeah, she played Bee in that.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Oh gosh, yeah, this really was short-lived, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. It was like
Oh.
SWAT Cats. It was like maybe 2 seasons.
Was SWAT Cats really only 2 seasons?
It wasn't even 2. It was like 1.5.
I remember seeing so many episodes as a kid, though.
Me too. They syndicated the ever-loving crap out of that show. But,
Dang.
and there was talks like 7 years ago of it coming back.
Yeah, I
Like,
remember
they
that.
were shopping it around. I was like, dude, I will take $5,000 and I will donate it as long as it comes to reality. And
Yeah,
it
'cause wasn't
never
that-
happened.
Wasn't that something that was talked about? Maybe like doing like a Kickstarter kind of thing.
They
to
did
get
do
the
one,
show back. Yeah.
and they reached the goal, and then they shopped it around, and no one would take it. And I'm like,
Ooh.
dude, you could modernize that, and it would take. You could put it on like Toonami or
I wouldn't think-
something, and it
I don't
would
think you'd have to-
take.
I don't think you'd even have to modernize it. Like I think it's just a really good show.
Yeah,
Maybe
Well-
just like I don't know. This is where like I just don't know enough of like why it didn't do well and like
it was ahead of its
whoever's
time,
advertised. Yeah, like and just
big time.
that always baffles me. It's like no, the show's really good. Like why did you stop some of these shows? Like oh crap, what's the name of that show? It was on Netflix. It was like a Netflix cartoon about like conspiracy theories, and it was like
Oh, dude, I love that show so
Yeah.
much.
they canceled it because it
Inside
didn't-
Job.
Yeah, Inside Job. That's what it is. I loved it, but they canceled it because it didn't get the amount of views that they wanted. Even though it has a massive cult following, everybody loved it. It wasn't enough for them, and so they just split the first season into 2 parts. So that's not even like season 2. That's just season 1, part 2.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it sucks
That
because I was
bums me
like,
out more.
yeah, I was so into it, and then because my friend, when I worked at a print shop, he was watching it, and he's like, "Oh, you gotta check this out. You love voice acting." This is before I was trying to do voice acting full time, and he's like, "Oh, you gotta check this out," and I did. I was like, "This is amazing." I watched all of it in one night and came to work the next morning and said, "I watched all of it." He's like, "What?" I was like, "I watched all of it," and he's like,
Yeah,
"Oh, you must have really liked it." I was like, "I did."
yeah, it's amazing. It's
I'm
so
like,
well
it's-
written.
It's so stupid. It's just it's such a good show. I love it.
Yeah, it was like
Absolutely
it's like a more crude Rick and Morty, except it's like father daughter kind of thing going on.
Yeah. Well, I don't even know if it's more crude. It's just like unapologetic. Hey, let's just say the most outlandish shit
There's that.
because conspiracy theories become outlandish so fast that like we could say whatever we want and it's fine. With just the whole flat Earth thing, the everything's run by lizard people, all this crap. There's a center. There's like a center of the to the Earth. Oh crap! I always want to say this. wrong.
Journey to the Center of the Earth.
Yeah, Journey to the Center of the Earth. Like that was real, and it's just like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
It was just absolutely dumb. Building robot presidents, just DNA experiments. Just
I
my
loved
God.
every second of it.
it's such a weird show. I loved it. I still am upset that they
Me too.
had canceled it.
And then they
And
brought
I-
on some of these dumber shows. And I was like, why didn't you just stick with what worked, man? Like you come up with a great concept and then you'll release this other show that's like, I'm like, what is this crap? And you can't bring back that, and you wasted money on this. Like, there's a handful of those on Netflix that I found, but like that F is for Family was phenomenal.
Oh yeah.
But Bill Burr makes anything great.
Yeah, and that just, gosh, I really like that because I liked how it was very much just, we're gonna make an actual cartoon about
A broken
about what it was-
family.
yeah, about and like what life actually was like then, and just when it gets weird, we're not gonna shy away from like how messed up some of this is,
Yeah.
and we're just gonna have fun with it. And I was like, yeah, this is just a really dumb, and I love it. I love that show so much.
Yeah. They made a handful of good ones. I'm trying to think of another one off the top of my head that I really loved. And I can't. Not off the... What was it? Well, BoJack Horseman was pretty decent.
Yeah,
Um,
I always liked a lot of like some of the weirder shows that Cartoon Network had, right?
Foster's Home for
especially-
Imaginary Friends.
Yeah, that one was always fun.
Yeah.
And then there was crap, what was it? What was the name of it?
C Lab 2021.
No, it's the one with oh gosh, I don't know why I'm blanking on so much information that my brain's like, no, it's
Is
this.
it the one with the meatball, the shake, and the fry?
No. That's Aqua Teen Hunger Force. I remember that. But no,
Yeah.
it was it's the cartoon where you have the bird and then the raccoon.
Oh, Adventure.
No.
No.
It's like Digby. Is it Digby or Rigby? Oh gosh, I'm gonna mess this up. This is where I should remember things, and I just don't at all. But yeah, they're pretty much they're working for like a park, and like their boss is a gumball machine.
Ah. Is this one
yeah,
of the newer ones?
ish. It's not very new. It's older now. Hold on, let me see. I gotta see if I can look this up.
Yeah. Let me.
Because
let me
now I
see
need to
if
know. There we go. Yep.
Regular
regular
show.
show. Yep. And at the same time, yeah. I always thought this was a really dumb and great show, and I have no idea. I don't think it's real to any degree, but I always like somebody had told me like that this show was meant to be far more of an adult show than it actually was.
Yeah.
Purely because like the reason everybody looks the way they do was that these guys were supposed to be like high and drunk all the time. And that's part of like why they were so terrible at their jobs. It's because they were inebriated. And why
Yeah.
everybody looked weird. And I was like, that would have been a really interesting and fun show. And they're like, well, of course you can't
Say
do
that.
And I think they said like they said it was that way because like they tried to get it onto Adult Swim.
Yeah.
And it just didn't take, so they changed a few things, but Cartoon Network would take it. I don't
Interesting.
know how true that is to any degree. I kind of like that theory because of just like, because I remember like this show being very, like having some very heavy subject matters and having to just address it and like
Mhm.
deal with it in a very adult way that you're like, yeah, for a kid's show, this is kind of a serious subject matter, which
Yeah.
is just interesting. And I think I always like that when you get cartoons that they play up the fact that they are cartoons, but they'll take certain aspects of themselves very seriously. And when that gets brought up, they'll stick to it. They won't just like change it just to make it cartoonish, so to speak, you know?
Yeah.
I always like that. And it's just, it's such a fun show. It's really dumb, but it's really fun. I love it.
There's a lot of those.
Yeah.
It was like, I remember, God, my mom wouldn't let me watch it ever. Well, I found ways. Sorry, Mom. Two Stupid Dogs.
Mm.
And I get why she didn't want me to watch it because it was in it felt like it revolved in the same direction as Beavis and Butthead in a way.
Yep.
And so I completely understand it.
It's some of the really old stuff, like Ren and Stimpy.
Yeah, and it
Angry
fell in
Beavers.
that same vein.
Yeah, and
And-
you're just like, oh, how'd you get away with these jokes?
Yeah, like Rocco's Modern Life is like
Wasn't he a
him and
phone sex
Mrs.
worker?
Bighead had some odd happenings, man.
Wasn't Rocco a phone sex operator?
He was. I was gonna say he's like,
Yeah.
Oh baby, Rocco, Mrs. Bighead.
like it. Yeah, that is stuck in my brain. That and then the how dare you, like the purple hippopotamus that would always like slap him in the face or grab him by the neck and like throw him 300 yards. And then I very much vividly remember the plumbing the episode when he's looking for jobs, and it's the same one with that sex operator line where he is a plumber's assistant, and then his pants keep falling down. He's like, "Hey, could you get that? Thanks a lot." And it would just keep slipping over and over, and he'd have to grab his pants and hold them back up. I'm like, golly, dude. The freaking plumber's crack is real. Yeah. And I remember when they would sit too close to the TV, and then like Heifer got sucked into it.
Oh yeah.
and then Rocco had to press a button, and it opened up like the whole TV case, and he had to walk through and go get Heifer because he was too far gone, and his eyes were like glued to the screen, and you couldn't pull him off of it. Oh my god.
Gosh, yeah. Jeez.
Yeah, man. And
I just enjoy how all over the place cartoons are, honestly.
me too. And another great voice actor, Carlos Alrazqui, I think is his. I'm probably butchering that, but he played tons of bit pieces in different shows, but that was like the one where he got a lead role, and he was a major animator for Nickelodeon Studios and did a lot of work on Angry Beavers, I think. A lot of drawing in that and several other shows on the storyboard. So that was his main shtick, but then I think he took a stab at voice acting and then did a little bit of both, and he still draws constantly to this day.
Yeah. I like the weird ways that some of the biggest voice actors got their jobs. Like,
Yeah.
Like Steve Bloom, I think he was a janitor at the studio, and he would just mess around and talk to some of the dudes making weird noises, and they needed somebody. He just so happened to be there, and they're like, "Oh, you can do this. Come here into the booth." Did it, and that was it. Got the part.
That's sick. Well, that
Yeah.
happened with Kevin, didn't it? Kevin was like a chef in like a hotel restaurant, and then I think that's how he got discovered. I can't remember how the interaction went, but I knew that's how they got him.
Yeah.
And I think Andrea Romano, if I remember correct, was having lunch or dinner at that restaurant, and then liked his voice, and then brought him in for like the Batman, and the rest was history.
Yeah.
Now
everybody attempts that for Batman because it is
that's him.
Batman. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
you can't forget this.
No.
You cannot forget that.
I not for nothing on any of the live Batmans or anything. Kevin will always be Batman. To
Yeah.
me.
Just
that
like
is,
Mark Hamill. Always going to be the Joker.
yup.
Him and
Always
Heath
be.
Ledger.
Yeah. They will always be it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just iconic. You can't I can't say that they're that there's no way that I would ever replace them with anybody. ever.
Nah, me neither, man. And I couldn't even think of anyone to do that with. There's a couple that could get close, but it wouldn't be the same character. And I liked them so much. I really thought they were gonna get a live action at some point. I thought they would have done it. And like I was telling you with the reboot of SWAT Cats, reason I was talking with Lauren Lester when I was at Comic-Con, and I was asking him, be like, hey man, I mean, not for nothing, I'm pretty sure this has been beaten into your brain. If not, you've been thinking it yourself, but why hasn't it happened by now? I was like, there's so many fans that would love to see a comeback of the animated series. Why not now? Like, while y'all are still here, everyone's still here, at least for the most part. You can fill in a couple of the other minor roles, but your major pieces are still here. He's like, I have badgered them until I've been red in the face, and he said they don't want to do it. They don't want to bring it back. And I was like, of all the things though, I was like, I told him Marvel and DC have the hardest heads of any production business I have ever seen in my life. And when you have something just it's like you just walked into a gold mine and you get to walk out with all the spoils, but you're choosing not to. And I've never understood it. He said that he would love to see it. He said, I want to do it before everyone's gone. And then lo and behold, what happened 3 years later, he went and we lost Kevin. And then, we still have everyone else, but there's no point in doing it now. And Mark already said he's hung it up. So
yep.
It's just things like that where SWAT Cats has everybody still here. The main two cat actors are here and they're still acting. And you have one of the major proponents of many of the other voices, and Jim Cummings is still here. So you could still do most of the show, if not all of it.
I don't know. It's just some weird thing where I have to assume part of it is, part of it might be that they want to, and they understand that there's a following for this, but either they don't see the following being big enough, and the fact that they'd have to garner a completely new audience as well.
Right.
Because, they can't, not for nothing, they can't rely on the old audience alone. You just
correct.
It wouldn't be feasibly possible, especially considering how old it is. It's like, all right, well, they're about years my age now. We're talking about a bunch of adults stopping and watching what is essentially a Saturday morning cartoon. While we would probably do it, slap it on, let's shits and giggles, like Hulu and something, we'd probably do it. But it still becomes that problem of the amount of cost it is, plus you want to garner a new audience and you want longevity out of it. I can understand why they'd be hesitant and would say no because it's the easy choice. I still don't think it's the right choice because I think some of these it's no, but they were good then. They could be just as good, if not better now, because now you have at least enough people who are old enough to know what this is. And, people our age would have kids and they go, no, you're going to watch this with me. And they would bring in a whole new audience as well. So there's enough there that I think it would be profitable and would be a good reason to redo these. It just gets really weird. I feel like a lot of times it's some really weird answer on why they're saying no.
Right.
And as an audience member, it just doesn't make sense.
No.
The weird reasons don't make sense. Even if I have to sit here and go, even as an actor, I can understand to a degree, but sometimes it's a really dumb thing to hear. It's why is that your reasoning for no? That feels very negligible. That feels like it shouldn't be your reason to say no, we won't bring this show back, despite such a large cult following that has come
Right.
about because of this.
We think there's too much of a disconnect. Well, then make the connection. If you want you already got a base. All you need to do is build on it to try and garner more of a new base.
And that's where I think that they just don't want to, because they see what's working now, and it's just the safer thing to do
Right.
now. It's kind of like, like the Avengers and stuff like that, right? Like I can't tell you the last one I think the last one I saw was the second Avengers movie, but I didn't watch it when it came out. Like I watched it way after.
Me too.
And
I got sick of it.
Yeah, like there's so many, and like one of my friends, he even brought up like a good point on like why he doesn't care. And this was way back when. I think this was back either when the first one came out or when the second one was just coming out. And he was telling me, he's like, I honestly can't bring myself to care because they're starting to write these movies where you can't just watch them by themselves. You have to know what's happening in every other movie to get the little things that are happening in this movie. So he's like, you can watch Iron Man and be fine. You could watch the, Captain America and be fine. But if you're going to go watch Ant-Man or, Black Panther or anything like that, they've got things that are intrinsically tied to the Avengers movie. Like they've got things revolving around this.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't just watch them and not know what's happening.
That's where I got confused with Endgame and Spider-Man because I didn't watch any of them.
Yeah.
And then I was like, what is happening?
I didn't even watch. I didn't realize maybe it was the second Ant-Man. I remember watching the first Ant-Man movie. I guess there was a second one that I didn't realize had come out, or maybe
the Quantum something.
Yeah, and then go watch the second Avengers, and he's having this conversation. I was like, "Whoa, wait, what happened?" And it's all about the second Ant-Man movie. And I was like, I didn't watch that. Am I missing something? And then come find out, even in, was it No Way Home? Spider-Man No Way Home, the one where he messes with the other worlds, that they even make a reference to that quantum realm or whatever it is in that movie. And I was like, what? Why? No, just talking about Spider-Man. I only care about Spider-Man. I want to cry when I see Tobey Maguire on screen.
Yeah.
Because I want to feel how broken my heart is for seeing that, and glad that I don't have to watch whatever happened to him in the third movie.
Yeah.
Because that will just be the most embarrassing thing in the world. But I don't know. I love it. I love Tobey Maguire Spider-Man.
Oh, we all do.
Yeah.
And even Andrew Garfield said he loved it. But it's who we grew up on.
Yeah. Well,
it's all we knew.
He will always be special to me. But in my honest opinion, I think Andrew Garfield was the better Spider-Man of the three.
Yeah.
And
he was the best at being who Peter Parker was.
To a point. From the comic, from the source material that I'm assuming they're writing it, because I believe it is specifically titled Amazing Spider-Man. Yes. Which I think some people didn't understand. Right?
Yeah.
Especially considering the Peter that they're writing, and you're like, yeah, but that is the Amazing Spider-Man Peter. Not quite as nerdy as you'd think he should be, but that is still Amazing Spider-Man Peter. I think, nothing on Tom. I think he's a phenomenal actor. I think he does a fantastic Peter. I don't care for his Spider-Man.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that.
And I think I realized it was for a few reasons, and it didn't really click until No Way Home, was the fact that we had a Spider-Man who did not have the great response, with great power comes great responsibility conversation. He didn't have it. He never had it until the third movie, and I was like, oh, holy crap, that's a long time for you to attempt to be Spider-Man and not have this conversation. That's really weird, considering that's that is the foundation of who Spider-Man is. How'd you make it this long doing this? Because they also presuppose that he's been doing this for a while. That was part of the whole bit of him going to Avengers first, was that he's already been doing this.
Yeah.
And that's what I assumed. It didn't click in my head that they never wrote in Uncle Ben. He just never existed in Tom Holland's thing. And I was like, oh, it was such a weird thing. I really want more. I'm not gonna lie. I really want more of Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man. I know we won't.
We could still get maybe one more, but I doubt it's gonna happen.
I doubt it. I think that was part of the whole bit of what had happened. I think he was contracted for another one. But then, whatever happened with the whole thing, that they broke it apart and then moved on to Tom Holland. I think the No Way Home one was the fulfilling of that third Spider-Man movie.
Yeah.
Assuming that's how that contract worked out, right? Because I don't know. I don't know if they ever, explicitly put it out on like how it worked out or like what was supposed to happen or anything. Because I remember a lot of what it was when I remember talking about it was a lot of like hearsay here and there of like what was supposed to happen and like, oh, it might have been this, it might have been that. So it's kind of, for me, it's real shaky. I would still love to have more of his Spider-Man. I think it was a great one. I liked what they were attempting and doing.
Yeah.
I would very much like to see him move into the Peter Parker Spider-Man that we know, especially, the fact that they started with Gwen. Like, that's dramatically different to have Gwen rather than Mary Jane. And I would have loved to watch you have to now pull in Mary Jane after just having to deal with the Gwen stuff, going like, yeah, let's watch this now because this isn't gonna break his fucking heart or nothing.
Yeah.
Just it would have been great.
It would have.
Who knows what they'll end up doing at this point.
Yeah, it's all up in the air, and honestly, they just not been, in my opinion, it's not really been the best since the original Avengers.
Yeah.
And it's shown, and I mean, I kind of expected that myself because you ripped all the writers and then you spread them out, and you did that with the rest of the crew as well, and then you got one great writer on this movie. You got one great camera guy or like, I don't know. But you spread yourself too thin. You did too many projects at one time, and then you diluted the script. And so just you're trying to cash grab too many things at once, whereas if you put a little bit more effort in, then it would be a little bit more respected.
Yep.
But at that, I think I'm gonna wrap up here.
Okay.
It was great having you on, man.
Yeah, it's great.
You
being
can.
here,
I was gonna. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, socials. Yeah. Tell everyone where they can find you, and
you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube under Jacob Mira VO. Where you'll either hear me say something stupid or make monster noises, because that's essentially what I use them for at this point. It's just a lot of vocal covers, and just Twitter's mostly for announcing roles that I've been on or am going to do or gets put out is what I use it for. So, if you want monster noises, yeah, sure, definitely come check out. Come check out the weird noises that I make, and then we'll tell you that any and everybody can do it because it's not super hard.
this is true. You can do a lot of stuff that I've never seen, and I never knew was achievable or thought it was modified and not doable by a normal human being.
Nah, everybody can do it. Just takes time and practice. That's it.
Truth. Well, appreciate you coming on, man. I'll have to have you on
Yeah.
again sometime soon.
Definitely, man.
Guys, feel free to follow the podcast, Drawn to Film, on Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, and X. It's all the same. You just add the @ symbol in front of the YouTube. And you can go ahead and click below and subscribe to the channel. I'd greatly appreciate that. Until next time, guys, I will put up an announcement for whenever we're having our next podcast. And until then, I will see you guys later. Appreciate you coming on, man. Always a pleasure.
Thanks for having me.
Y'all have a great night, and thanks for watching.
See ya.